Get in. Wait,
Yeah.
not yet. Not yet. All right. Welcome to another Kitchen Sink Live Microscopy, where we are live, theoretically, unless you're watching the replay, in which case we're no longer live, but we were live then, now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now's not the time to be conjugating verbs in the past and possible never tense.
Oh man, always
All right.
with the quotes.
Yeah, we kick off with a Red Dwarf quote. That's always a good rule of thumb.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Well, we can
state.
also kick off with a day job orchestra quote.
Yeah,
Iran, kaboom.
kaboom.
Yep.
That's yeah. I mean, not really a laughing matter, but like
No, no.
it's another situation that's like gray-ish because yeah, bad dude did bad things and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but I mean,
there are,
technically it's the CIA's fault he was there in the first place, right? So
yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean,
like we kind of fucked it up to
which,
begin with.
yeah, back in the day when it was like Persia, essentially, it was a pretty well-off place, and then it became all religious and stuff like that, and totalitarian. And yeah, the U.S. is partially to blame for that. Um, and then now we're like, oh, we're gonna kind of like with Iraq, like, oh, oopsie, we put a dictator in, I guess. Let's try to undo that, and then it ends up being like 10-year war
I
or
know,
something.
weapons of mass destruction. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No more yellow cake this time. Well, I mean, they did have the nuclear program, but um,
Did did yeah, I mean I guess kind of, but it's not like it was really getting anywhere, was it? Like,
well, they had a bunker underground, like built the facility that
hmm.
they had, and I mean, they technically still have it, but it's kind of wrecked. Um,
Well, yeah, as I understand it, like 2015 or something, like Obama made some agreement with them
mhm.
curtailing the whole nuclear thing, and then right when Trump got in, he pulled out of that deal. And
Well,
within two
because
years, that Colomani or what I can't pronounce it, but
Khomeini, yeah,
Colomani,
Khomeini, or
Khomeini,
Khomeini, if you want, that starts with a K, but
oh,
Khomeini, yeah,
uh, La Cucaracha,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Uh, Khomeini was like all of a sudden like doing way more than even before the whole agreement with Obama. Like,
Hmm.
so I mean, why did Trump do that in the first place?
Well,
You know?
yeah, there's probably some kind of back end stuff that we're not privy to.
Mm,
And now keep in mind, a lot of this is Israel, who
yeah.
who actually
Yep.
attacked Iran was basically Israel. They sent in, I think, like 200 fighter jets in this
Mhm.
big ass like World War II style wave, and bomb strategic targets and stuff. It's largely Israel, and this is where a lot of people are critical. They're like, well, we're sort of like, you know, that's their business, right? It's
Yeah.
not our
Well,
business. We shouldn't.
about a week ago, I saw this video, some ceremonial garbage where Trump is handing Netanyahu this key to the White House. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, fuck. Now what? Now what?
Yeah,
Like,
well, okay, but keep in mind, anytime you criticize Israel, the government, you're anti-Semitic, which is bullshit. Like I think the people in Israel are awesome. I think the
mhm.
government is awful. It's terrible. It's the same thing with the US. Like I think most of the people in the US are awesome people. The government sucks. Like
Yeah.
what I you can separate those things.
Well,
Uh
and there's so much like conflict, conflict, and there's so much intermixing between the idea of Jewish people as
Conflating.
a culture, yeah, conflating
Yeah.
as a culture versus as a religion.
Hmm.
You can be part of the Jewish religion without being from Israel
Yeah, yeah,
or
exactly.
Jerusalem or whatever, like from that area. And
Hmm.
and so like the whole anti-Semitic rhetoric that Hitler was pushing around was mostly of a religious nature.
Yeah.
Like Polish Jews and stuff like that. It wasn't a geographical thing. He,
Nope.
he really didn't even pay any fucking attention to Israel.
Yeah.
It was all about the Jews
Well,
in Germany, all about the Jews around Germany.
well, Israel as a nation didn't really exist at that point in time. So, you know.
I'm just speaking of the geographical
Oh yeah,
area,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like um yeah, so when we talk about Israel as a country, as a government or whatever, like
Hmm.
there's no possible way you could conflate that with anti-Semitism because it's really not even the same category of thinking.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's totally true. And if you look at Israel, there's not just Jewish people there. There's a lot of other people of other religious affiliations that
Mm-hmm.
live there. So it's like Israel's kind of diverse in a sense in that way. Um, and so, but like, yeah, to me, I criticize Israel, the country, the government, like, you know, that whole thing. Like, I don't think that they're necessarily the good guys. I mean, you can look at Palestine and it,
Oh no,
but
no,
like, I mean, they
Israel's
already,
not one of the good guys for sure.
no, no. I mean, they're not the worst guys, but they're not the good guys. I'll say that. You
Yeah.
know? But as far as Iran goes, like, they have an interest in that, in conducting. Obviously, they attacked Iran a little while back,
Yeah.
um, and on the basis, like the whole premise was like, oh, because of this nuclear facility and it's kind of a threat to Israel, so let's attack. So the U.S. was like, well, we'll have like this midnight raid with our B-2 bombers and just like we'll nix that. So you have no game now,
Mm.
but then like something happened. I don't know. There's backroom deals probably. Iran has been on the radar as far as like strategic, where like a strategic interest to the U.S. for a very long time. I remember seeing old ass like YouTube videos from like 2006 talking about, well, maybe it was 2007 or something, but talking about that, like military officials saying the plan of like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to take out Afghanistan, Iran, then or Iraq, then Iran, and like Syria, and blah blah blah. Like they had this whole plan, and it's like, I hate that. I hate that meddling. Now, if
And Israel, like Netanyahu specifically, has had a bug up his ass about Iran for decades.
yes, yes, exactly. And so, like for us, for the U.S. to cooperate with that operation is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's their business, not ours. Obviously, we do have somewhat of an interest there, but it's more.
I mean, as
Yeah,
usual, oil is involved
it
in the
is. Yeah, it
equation.
totally is. Now,
Like,
here's the thing. Here's where I feel like, because if you look, there's a lot of, there's, you know, Persian people who are uh, complaining about this, and then there's Persian people who are celebrating it. They're like, oh my God, finally that is out of there. But hey, you know, there's a vacuum and some bad
mm,
shit could get sucked in there. But like I always, it's like I was telling a girlfriend the other day, it's kind of like the frosted mini wheats thing. Like you've got your pessimistic side, and then my optimistic side is like, well, it could turn into a good thing. It could but like I'd love to see that. I would love nothing more than to go to Google Maps and scroll over to that area and have it not say Iran, but have it say Persia. Like that would be awesome.
mm.
And if that comes out of it, like maybe the strategy is like, okay, we're gonna rain down some hellfire here, take out all these top officials and stuff like that, and then we'll have some kind of trade agreement, which would benefit everybody, honestly. Like if it is about oil, okay, fine, but I mean,
Well,
the
there's
people will make a ton of money and no more sanctions and shit.
There's
you know.
clearly no plan in the works of that nature since Trump was like instructing the people of Iran to take over the government, like,
Mhm.
and to do
Which
it
I gotta
themselves.
say, that was wild to hear that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like,
And all the while I'm thinking, this is exactly what the American people need to be doing in their country. Like,
mhm.
because
Yeah, well,
yeah,
unfortunately, we don't have an even bigger country to like take out the top echelons to make it possible to do that,
yeah.
or to create so much chaos and confusion that it's possible to do
No
that.
matter how big the US is, the rest of the world is always bigger though.
This is true, yeah.
So
Well,
they
and
piss off enough people and it's gonna happen.
yeah, there could be a coalition, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh,
And
there's talks about that, like from
yeah,
more than one angle.
hmm
Like there's EU not even involved. Like we're talking about like India and some African countries and stuff, and I think a few of the Nordic countries, like just to kind of keep the EU politically safe from it.
hmm
Um, and I forget where I was reading this or who was suggesting it. I think it was somebody British though, but they were like, you should really like kind of come together and put some pressure on the US because like and you know what, like if India did get involved in that, like they've got like the third biggest army in the world, so you've already got like a pretty significant um standoff as far as like firepower, manpower and stuff
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
and as I mean, history illustrates very well to us.
That doesn't
You
even
don't
matter.
you don't have to be like more powerful to be an absolute nuisance.
Right.
So it's like you just have to kind of like
And of course, if
make it.
something like that took place, of course the
Mhm.
EU is going to jump in and back the coalition that's trying to take out the fucking dictator wannabe, like
Well, yeah, and well,
so it
India
would
also has nukes, so they're one that it's like, oh well, actually, it's kind of dangerous to do a frontal assault on,
yeah.
on India.
I mean, they're kind of like the Asian Switzerland where
Mhm.
they lean a little bit toward Russia and China, but like they're not really like straight up allies or anything.
Well, and they
Um,
they they cooperate with the U.S. too. A bunch of like
yeah,
basically that's how you keep the peace, or you try at least,
yeah,
um, or at least peace in your own space, right? So that
yeah.
they're not like, oh well, this country is a real bastard. They're going to be the. This is like what's that movie, The Jerk, where the guy is looking through the phone book and he's like, I'm going to kill this guy. Like you don't want to be that country basically where you're like first on the list.
Yeah. But I mean, tell me why this isn't already just why aren't we just calling this a world war? Just because nobody's officially declared war, going around and like just deciding you're going to completely fucking knock over the chessboard in some country and destabilize their entire global fucking region.
Well,
Um,
yeah, no, there's a lot of people who basically say it is World War III,
mhm.
because it's kind of similar. If I study, I'm a huge uh, military history buff, but like it's very similar to World War One. Like it wasn't like everybody was coming together on one big ass battlefield and stuff. Like there were all these different things happening in different places, and you know, it was distributed.
Yeah.
Even World War II was like that. You had two different theaters from the perspective of the U.S. You had the European theater, you had the Pacific theater. Like those were two different wars. Like two complete. Like you didn't have Germans that. Well, maybe they. I'm sure there was some
By the way,
collusion
how
with the
fitting is it that
Japanese.
we call it theater?
I it it kind of, yeah, it really is in a way. It's just actually deadly. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, oh yeah, when the person gets stabbed with the spear on stage, and they're like, oh, they're like actually stabbed.
It's like Lincoln Theater, like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
actually dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess this is better than a nuclear exchange. I guess. Like, I mean, eh, pick your poison. Like I'd rather there not be conflict. Honestly, like ideally, diplomacy should solve everything. Like people should come in and we should make some kind of agreements and stuff, that mutually beneficial agreements in some ways. Obviously there's situations where hot conflict is unavoidable, um, or it just happens. Like for instance, if the people within a country rebel and create this whole revolution or something, well, that's not our doing or our business necessarily. It's their thing. But if it starts spilling over, or I don't know, I mean, I feel like if there's a humanitarian side, like, okay, yeah, yeah, maybe, here's the thing when it comes to Iran. If Israel and the US had framed the attack on Iran as a response to all the protesters being killed, like literally executed, by the way, then
Right.
like the thousands at least. We don't know how many because information is hard to come by out of that country.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a black box. You're getting anecdotes here and there and stuff. But like if it was framed in that sense of like, hey, your own people are fed up with you and they're protesting and you're murdering them. All right, well, guess what? We're going to whoop your ass now. Like that would have been, the whole world would be behind that. But instead, it's kind
Yeah.
of like just this random ass thing, you know? Like,
Right. Like there was no threats being lobbed of nuclear retaliation of any kind. I mean, like Iran was like throwing threats back at the US, of course,
yeah,
but
as they have done for decades,
yeah. Um which of course the US is ultimately to blame for if you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back far enough and, keep
Well,
asking why. But
it, well, that would be a good, see, this, I can't wrap my head around politicians, like if you want to get the people behind you, frame it in a humanitarian sense. Also, and maybe say, I'm sorry. Like, hey, here's all the documents relating to how all this happened. It's kind of our fault. We're going to fix it. And also, these people are being executed, and that's bad. So we're going to just kick their ass,
yeah.
and most people would be okay with that, and then
That's
it's like,
because they don't really have laudable goals,
no,
like
no, no.
there, there's really like one really, but let's say two
Mm-hmm.
reasons that people are running their countries the way they do and going to wars for the reasons they do, and that's religion and arguably the biggest religion of all, economics. So like, is it profitable? Okay, let's find a reason to go fucking you know drop bombs on this place. Like that's what a lot of people are driven by. And then in the Middle East there happens to be a lot more religious
Mm-hmm.
reasons for doing the things that they do and stuff.
and,
But
and religious based conflicts, religion
mhm,
based conflicts,
mhm,
yeah, but that's their business. I don't like the idea of countries like the US going in and democratizing countries, because like if you have like a prince or something, or you have like a monarchy or whatever, like, and it's stable and everything's fine, and you've been like that for like 1,000 years, let's leave that alone. Like, Persia was a great place, like
mhm.
very, like almost kind of Western, like every wealthy people were well off, like it was safe, you know. And then now, well, it's like, well, it's kind of our fault. Well,
Yeah,
I'd say, I guess I reside in the U.S., therefore I'm part of it, I guess.
yeah.
And
It's probably the reasons you were just stating. Like they had all this wealth and everything, and the US was like, we want some of that. And
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well, and also it
yeah.
comes down to like territorial control as well, where like, you know, it, Iran or
But
Persia
those
back in the
lines
day.
lead back to economic
It
gain
does.
as
Yeah, it
well.
does. And it represents a threat to like your own power in trade, essentially. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if you look back through the US's history from like now to a few decades back and stuff, a lot of it, but before it was all the communist mumbo jumbo, but then it became all about propping up the petrodollar and
Mm.
eliminating any possible threat to that, anything that would deviate. Like, look at, what happened with Gaddafi? Hmm? What preceded what happened with Gaddafi? Oh, yeah, exactly. The US wants to make sure that the US dollar is the currency exchanged for oil.
Yeah.
Um, and because if anything threatens that, if anything changes, it's a house of cards. It'll just fall apart.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, you can basically, if you color everything within that sort of framework, everything makes sense. You look at these things and you're like, why the hell is this happening? And it's like, oh, yeah, well, when you understand the fundamental structure in the background, then all of the actions fall in line with that behavior.
If I were to guess at where, I don't know, like the headquarters of the shadow government in the world would be, it would probably be Saudi Arabia. Because
It
that's kind
could
of that's
be.
kind of where this petrodollar like
Mm-hmm.
that's what gave birth to the whole
We're
US dollar
The U.S. is
domination thing.
awfully buddy buddy with Saudi Arabia, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the redacted pages on the 9/11 Commission report um, happened to be like where they had to deal with Saudi Arabia. So that's
Uh,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so hey, Victoria.
Oh,
Uh,
long time no see.
yeah, we overthrew governments over bananas. Oil is almost better reason. Not a good one, but better. Yeah. Well, yeah, it
I mean,
that is
I
stupid. Like,
I'd
the banana
prefer a
thing
good
is kind
banana
of,
over oil, actually.
well, but oil does love it or hate it, it does actually run our modern world, and it is kind of vital um, for now. Obviously, that'll change eventually. Eventually it'll be uranium that'll be the one that everybody's fighting over, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean we're post scarce, and it's not because we're relying on oil. It's in spite of that. Like
And
we could stop using oil and shit would be fine. It literally would be fine,
well, we
you know.
basically, because we have the technology, we'd have to develop it a little bit more, and there's not an interest. I guess this is kind of the problem, is like, because oil's so easy, why bother going down other routes? And for some places in the world, oil is the superior product for energy. So, like, we have the luxury in like first world nations, of visualizing that possibility. Like, oh yeah, we could do that, but there are a lot of places in the world that can't. So oil is still going to be a necessary thing for quite a while, and that's
I
fine.
mean,
I don't see fighting over it. And the biggest here's the thing.
can't or won't. Because like we could absolutely like upgrade their infrastructure
Mhm.
as a concerted global effort to save the fucking planet that we all live on,
Well, or
you
just
know.
maybe we don't just the idea of making the world a better place. To me,
Yeah,
that's reason
all
enough to
all
do
of the
things.
above, like it would do all of the above, because
Mhm.
like oil is not some great grand buddy thing. Like it's really only benefiting like a very select few people in the world, you know.
Well, as far as like the financial side of things, yes.
Yeah.
But as far as the energy side of things, it is benefiting lots of people, like very low, like people way down that aren't making that much
I
money.
understand that, but
Yeah.
if you cut that line and take away all the fringe benefits for the elites,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it actually just goes back to being like logistically like a really bad idea
Yeah.
that could easily be supplanted with something
I,
more renewable and safer for the environment and
we have another comment here.
still fucking profitable too. Let's not
Sure,
lie.
sure.
Like I don't
Absolutely.
understand this reliance on oil when there's other
Well,
ways to make money.
the problem, the US got itself into a trap by getting off the gold standard.
Yeah.
And so now, like, that's basically the exchange of the US dollar for oil is what keeps that illusion alive.
Yeah.
And so here's how we might be able to fix that. One, the Treasury issues $1 trillion platinum coins or something to that effect. They can do that. Pays off the national debt. Boom, done. It's all gone. Then we dissolve the Federal Reserve. Okay, get rid of it, or just stop conducting business with it. And then we go back to something like a gold standard, where there's a finite resource that is behind our money. And therefore, now the justification for international conflicts over oil is gone.
There's a big question you have to answer there.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you giving that $1 trillion coin to?
Well, basically, you pay the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, but it's not like the Federal Reserve isn't where the debt is. The debt is Saudi Arabia.
Well, no, but that could be mitigated in time. Like, we've got to fix things in our own house before looking outward, I think. I mean, the thing is, it's such a complex and convoluted thing that honestly, I don't know that there's really a way that it'll ever be resolved. And that makes me sad. But let's address some comments here. Let's see. Second one didn't have to be. We were actively diversifying as early as the 50s, but it was cutting into rich people's bottom dollar. Oh, as far as energy, yeah. Well, nuclear power, that's the thing. Like, we had that. Oh, technology connections. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, in order for us to go in a future direction, we do need like a diverse energy infrastructure. It can't be just one thing or another. It's got to be distributed. It's got to be a variety of different things that are. I mean, I'm just a huge fan of nuclear power, but like, it could be wind farms or solar or whatever, and like, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Petroleum is one of the less effective energy things we have. We burn it to use it, I think, is yeah. While many others have higher upfront costs, they're ultimately better because you don't burn them to use. Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything has a finite lifespan.
Heat loss is why it is so completely inefficient and simultaneously horrible for the environment. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, most of the use of oil is to transport oil around the world.
Yeah.
Like, if not most, like close to half.
Well, and another factor too would be military activity.
Yeah.
Like, consider how much like fuel is burned. I got a chance one time to operate an M1 Abrams tank. Like, sit in the gunner's seat and move the turret around and stuff. It was awesome.
But I was asking, hear me, supper is served.
Yeah, I know. But I asked the guy. It was sort of like an impromptu thing, not a tour. It was like I just happened to be there, be in the right place at the right time. But I was asking the guy some questions, which he's like, I can't really answer that. But I did get to operate that cool titanium hatch thing where the shells come out of. But I asked him, like, what's the fuel consumption like on this thing? Because it's a turbine engine, like basically a jet engine. And he's like, Yeah, it's like maybe 4 miles per gallon, or no, wait,
4 gallons per mile.
four gallons per mile. Yeah, yeah. It's like, what the hell? So, and imagine we have all those tanks, we got all these jets, we got like cargo things and stuff all over the place, constantly moving around, like for the purpose of basically in reinforcing, propping up the petrodollar. You
Hmm.
know, like
Yeah.
we could get lean and mean if we didn't have to worry about that. If we just like were worried about defense alone,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. But yeah, if we weren't transporting oil by burning oil,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that also like would kind of remove that dependency. It would
Mm-hmm.
actually not just remove the dependency on the oil, it would actually reduce the amount of actual energy we need output for. So like
Yeah.
replacing oil is so much easier and cheaper than we think it is, than we're told it is, let's say.
Well, it
Um,
definitely is, but it requires some development of the like further development of certain technologies to make it basically. It's kind of like a vape, right?
oh,
You know, the
here
taxes
this
on.
this comment, making it
Mm,
non-financially viable or recycle existing plastics, maybe.
I think
Oh,
so.
well, it's
Two,
not the comment. Yeah, that's not the
two.
comment I was thinking it was. I I was about to say like companies could actually just start making it so that like they could use the market to drive us further away from that dependency.
Well, okay, so exactly. Well, and I think what it comes down to is like a paradigm shift that needs to happen, and maybe it should be supported. Like, okay, why does nobody ride horses to work? Because we have cars. Cars are more efficient. They're safer. You've got heat. You've got AC. You got a radio and stuff. Horses take a long time. They take a lot of maintenance and stuff like that. And people don't. It isn't because there's any regulation. It's just that a superior product emerged, and people were like, "Oh, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to use that." Like USB-C. Why don't people use like all the old cables and stuff like that? It's because USB-C is just better. Like, yeah. So what we need to put more energy and effort into innovation to make these technologies so obviously superior that nobody even wants to use the old stuff. Where it's like, yeah, we got oil, but we don't even care about that anymore because we got like fucking nuclear powered cars and stuff. Like,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that's the problem I see with kind of like a lot of these directives when it comes to government, is that they ignore that. They're like, well, we're just going to ban this thing, and like, step one ban, step two question mark, step three everything's good. Like, well, wait, no, that it isn't going to work like that. Like, I'm all for, like, if they're taking tax money from me, I want it to go towards improving technologies and innovation and things like that. Like, when I see, because I watch a lot of science videos and things about like all kinds of stuff like that, and when I see like all these tax funded kind of projects and stuff, it's like, well, that may, a fusion reactor might not go anywhere, but it's worth the effort. It's worth the candle to like, because maybe,
Yeah.
because what if, like, what if we had like cold fusion? Wouldn't that be amazing? you know like,
Yeah.
let's do it. And uh, yeah, oh man.
I mean, you know how people are always like, "Ah, I wonder if we would actually have a cure for cancer if it wasn't for, economic interests and blah, blah, blah." Like, same could be said for fusion or
Mm-hmm.
some other form of, you know, superior to nuclear energy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, we
there's
never know.
there's tons of options in think tanks like going on right now, but like will they ever actually come to fruition? Probably not because Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia.
it's,
Uh,
well, yeah, it's the political interests, and like so much waste on things that have nothing to do with anything. You
Yeah.
know, like what benefit does humanity gain from a war? It's destruction. Like
Hmm.
that's not good. Don't we want to like not do that? You know, like that money, all the people's efforts and stuff like that, all the construction and machinery and stuff like that could be better served in something that benefits humanity, right?
Well,
Wouldn't that be better? I mean, obviously you can't, there's always going to be an asshole, all right?
well, and
You
all
know?
this destruction is also making, I don't think anyone's even talking about this, but like, is also making a huge negative impact on the environment because you
Yes.
destroy all this infrastructure. Where's all the sewage going? You know, like you're letting all these gases up. There's like biological contaminants and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like people getting sick and water getting contaminated and like groundwater getting contaminated, plants dying, blah blah
Well,
blah. Then you get more and more CO2 problems, and
well, and then consider the fact that like now somebody has to come and clean up all the rubble and then they got to build it
mhm.
back again. Like you
Like
had
burning oil.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like we had a perfectly good building and now it's gone and we got to build another one. It's the broken window kind of thing. Like, you know, yeah, it's a net negative.
Yeah.
We have some comments though. Um, what was
Eh,
that? That's a two-part comment.
I think we're probably
Oh, we're
past
past
the
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
um
Oh, why are we forced to live so far from work that we can't just walk? Why are there no public transportation options? Yeah, I exactly. I that like I think zoning frustrates me because like the way everything's set up, it's kind of segregated, right? You have your industrial district, your business district, you know, your uh, retail areas, and then you have housing. And a lot of times it's like, oh, well, we can't put in apartment buildings because it's you know, oh, well, that's not part of the zoning. It's like it's single family and blah blah blah. Like, no,
it's a
there was a
giant HOA
well, it
basically.
kind of is, yeah. Well,
If
and
if
why
if it wasn't the government, it would actually literally be HOAs
yeah,
making that happen.
why can't the industrial area, right? If or well, things that emerge naturally, and industrial areas emerge near transportation hubs, basically. Um, so like you don't have to zone that in; it'll just happen. Um, and but like, why can't there be apartment buildings in there? So nobody has to drive. They just like go down the elevator and you walk a couple blocks and boom, you're at work, you know, and have a couple grocery stores or something in the area to support that. Why can't we have back in the day, we used to have like how storefronts on the bottom and apartments on the top. We used to have houses that had a like in the front yard, people would build a little shop like a store or something like that, and that was totally okay. Completely not okay now, because like at that point you don't have a commute. You like, I mean, your commute is walking.
That's because like small businesses don't have a chance. Like
Well, they do.
it's all dictated by the big companies because they're
But
like, we want as many people as possible walking by our locations rather than spending the money, which would be like sunk cost entirely to just open more locations out in the middle of bumfuck Egypt where like 10 people are going to go a day, you know, like of course
well,
it's these big box
it,
stores that want more people passing by, more
sure,
people stuck in that area,
and
stuck in
they
traffic. Oh, I guess I'll go to Walmart, you
yeah,
know.
and they leverage the government to like basically force that
Right.
in the HOA rules, let's
Yeah,
say.
we
But
need
like,
more sprawl.
I,
We need more mom and pop shops in the
yeah,
middle of nowhere
yeah, yeah.
where, you know, maybe 30 people go there, but you know, they can stay open because they can keep their prices cheap. You know,
Hmm.
like
Well, even if it isn't cheaper, it might be a better service. That's the thing. Like,
yeah.
I envision a world where you have fairly tall apartment buildings with shops on the bottom. And then you have houses where maybe somebody's got like a shop where they fix things or they make things like a bakery and whatnot. And like, I don't have to hop in my car and drive halfway across the city to go get a loaf of bread. I just walk around the down the block, you know, It's like, oh, I just walk down there, and you see your neighbors, which does anybody these days? So, well, that isn't beneficial either.
I mean,
And
Germany is exactly like this. There's, because I mean, state space is extraordinarily limited here
yeah.
compared to the US. And so yeah, there's not really zoning issues like that. Like there are businesses in my neighborhood. There's like a wine shop like just a few houses away
Mhm.
in a house,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Well, and I remember even when I was a kid, there were a couple of things like that, like a little, almost like a mini mart that was in
Mhm.
somebody's downstairs of their house, and they happen to have like doors on like street level, and
Yep.
you'd go in there. There was stuff like that all over, kind of interspersed throughout. There was a comic book shop that was just basically in somebody's house. Um, and what's great about that is you can live there, and that's also your place of work.
Yeah.
You have zero commute. You
Yep.
basically just get out of bed and like go downstairs and you're at work. Like
Yeah.
this idea now, I get it. Economies of scale, and sometimes like centralizing some kind of operation is necessary. Like, sure, maybe it's cheaper to live in one space, and but then you work at a factory, and the factory doesn't make sense to be in the middle of the suburban area. It's like, well, we need to be by like the port or the train tracks or something like that, or the airport or something.
Well, pollution's a factor too, but if again, going back to the, you know, oil dependency thing, if we
mhm.
moved away from all these things that are creating pollution, like being near industry would not be such a problem, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like
Yeah.
that would also contribute a great deal to alleviating zoning issues
Hmm.
and allowing urban sprawl to occur,
Yeah, and I'd like to see things be more organic, because like the central planning thing, these politicians and bureaucrats, they have no idea what the future is going to hold. they they're all idiots, really. And yet they claim to be experts, and they're telling us what to do, how to do things, how the structure of a city is going to evolve and stuff like that. And it's like, how many times has that failed? Like,
Yeah.
basically all the time, every time. So I'd like to let it happen naturally. Just kind of, hey, all right, and then maybe like if there is some kind of governance, it's more just to make sure, kind of keep things in check so it doesn't
Well, yeah,
get out of hand.
build it safe, get the
Mm-hmm.
permits, build it safe, do whatever you want there. Like
Yeah.
that should be how it is, like, hey,
Yeah.
we all have a collective interest in making sure that everybody is safe.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, checking that box. If you want to run a business out of there, if you want to live there, if you want to
Do both.
whatever, like
Yeah.
do it, but just build it well.
Well,
Like
yeah, and I think the easiest solution too is to kind of like inquire with the neighbors and maybe do like a little bit of analysis. Um, I mean, even as just a person starting a business, you wouldn't want to be the hated one, right? Like, you're not going to get any business if everybody's like, man, they have that stupid dog place there with all the dogs barking day and night, the boarding place or whatever. Like, you don't want to be the asshole neighbor. So you have an interest, if you want to keep your business operating and you want everybody to be happy, because happy people are better, the more frequent customers and stuff.
these
Um,
shiny people.
yeah. And so there's an interest to kind of like, okay, if I have this loud or stinky operation, I'm going to put it away from the potential customers, that kind of thing.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, state level zoning and stuff like that allows those things to happen regardless of the wishes of the community, and that's bullshit. um and efficiency too. I know we've kind of gone off on a little bit of a tangent here, but
Yeah.
it all comes, no, I mean, it all ties in together, because it's like, how do you prevent these conflicts, like in the Middle East, these oil rich countries, from happening in the first place?
Right.
Well, we need to clean house. Like,
Well,
we
yeah.
got to take, like,
Well, okay. So oil is one end of it, but the other piece tied to the oil barrels is the currency. Like,
Yes.
and
Well, and I already addressed that. Like, we need to go back to like the gold standard, so people can't just freely print money like it's,
yeah, but what's gonna stop them from, just doing it again for the next reason, or tying it to the next commodity?
well, no, it does have to
That's
be
the problem.
locked in somehow. And but I mean, it was for a long time. It was basically the treasury that managed all that. And like, you could only issue so many dollars for so much gold, essentially. And you had to have gold in your possession. Like, the country had to have gold to represent
I
those
understand
dollars.
how it used to work,
Yeah.
and then some president came along, and well, a couple
Several.
presidents
Yep.
in succession, but
From like the 30s to the 70s. Yeah.
yeah. But then, like, I would not expect anything other than it just going back to that, because that is what benefits these elites or shadow
I,
government or whatever,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Maybe.
the way to get around that, I feel, is to have people take ownership of how they exchange currency, like, and
Mhm.
and that
I understand
that
that.
doesn't that actually can't even depend on like a gold standard or something, because like that would again be putting it in the hands of the government, like, yeah.
Well, the reason for gold is because it's a finite resource. You can't just like imagine more of it into existence
Hmm.
like you can with the current dollars. It had to be tied. And I would say, like, if we did go back to the gold standard, we need to drill it into every single person's head that to make changes to that in any way that is not like clear and obvious should be treason. Like,
Okay,
public
yeah, yeah, like
execution.
if
Like,
if
if
that
you,
was like, to
yeah, if
to
you
to to
diddle
coin a
with that,
phrase, the golden rule,
yeah, yeah,
like that you just cannot ever break
mm,
away from the gold standard, that
yeah,
might be okay. Like if that were the prime directive
yeah.
of the world, actually, like
Well,
it,
and it
it
should
really does
be.
have to
Yeah,
be the world,
it is the
because
well, yeah.
otherwise just some other fucking fiat currency takes over,
Well,
you
and
know
the thing is that this is the great thing about doing that in the US. So many other currencies around, fiat currencies around the world, tie their currencies to the US. So if the US fixed that, you know, then it kind
Mm.
of fixes everybody else. So
Yeah,
there you go.
might be too late though, because China's propped up to take over anyway
Well, I
as far
know.
as a reserve currency. So like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, look forward to more wars then.
yeah,
I mean,
or just come up, like my integrity coin slash commercy idea, like
mm,
if we flesh that out and make it happen,
well,
could
and
save lives.
I think what it's it's weird. People are so complacent and so forgiving of misgivings, that like they allow things to get worse and worse and worse without really, they're like, well, I don't know, and never really do anything. And you do need everybody to affect change in this regard, because the system's so entrenched that you can't vote your way out of that. That it's
Yeah.
impossible. Like, that'll never fucking happen. Like, if you believe that, you're living in la la land.
Oh yeah,
Like,
but yeah, voting is dead.
yeah, it is.
Voting is long dead.
Uh
Like,
huh.
I mean, it's so funny because there's people out there that are still, like, I think it was the Demcat guy. I was watching one of his videos there.
Yeah.
He was like, I voted for Trump, but this is not what I voted for. And I
Mhm.
was giving him credit for admitting that, but he was like, but I don't regret voting for him, and like, I was kind of like, wait, don't you like understand how voting isn't really even working? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and that's
um,
where like we could take my peaceful anarchist approach and like, how about just nobody votes? What if the turnout was like a couple people out of a country of over 300 million? Like they, they couldn't
change still
possibly,
happens, you know,
huh?
change still happens, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
it really doesn't matter how many people vote. It's about the majority or whatever. I
Well, yeah,
mean,
yeah, and the system
yep,
itself
the presidential
is
thing's a little more complicated with the electoral college bullshit, but yeah, like
well, and
same effectual thing. Like people would still be selected, not elected.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, that's
good
really
point.
what it
That's a
is.
really good point that you brought up there.
Um,
Yes, yes, yes. Hmm.
and yeah, like not, yeah, so nothing would change. It would just effectively be, I don't know, less guilty feelings across the country, I suppose. Like, oh,
Well,
at
yeah,
least I didn't vote for this, you know.
we
Like,
need, yeah, yeah, we need to like go away. My point is basically we disengage. It's kind of like you shut down your Facebook account. You know, let's disengage from the system. The system is there to manipulate us. Like the algorithm, we talked about that prior to this stream. That it isn't there to provide you anything beneficial. It's there to
right.
keep you engaged, keep your eyes there, to maybe get you pissed off so that you stick around longer or you whatever. Um, and we need to disengage. Like it, because like I said earlier, like I don't have any hope that this system could ever be corrected, could ever be improved. Like there's absolutely no way. It's so it's a behemoth, it's a leviathan that has been growing and growing and growing, and finally it's, you know, emerging through the surface, you know, like fucking tripods from War of the Worlds or something. And it's like, well, it's fucking too late now.
Yeah.
You know, so change of plans, change of
Right.
tactics, right? You know, you need to like, and we need to not be combative with each other. Like if you have a disagreement about how things ought to be done or whatever, fine. But we can all agree that things could be better. So how do we make it better? Address it as an engineering problem, you
Right.
know? Like,
America is already cooked. Like at this point, we need to be examining ways of starting over and
yeah.
how to do it better,
Mm-hmm.
how to learn from our mistakes. You know, like there you're not gonna go overnight from uh, a patriotic democracy to a full blown functioning anarchistic country.
No,
That's
no,
a
no.
pipe dream. You're gonna have to have a government, and it's gonna have to absolutely be almost nothing like the, the preceding government was. You know, like
Well, and the thing is, the only way to really affect any kind of change, to be able to basically lay that foundation, is going to require getting rid of everything.
yeah,
And that, but the thing is, a lot of people, they don't want to do that. They're scared that maybe there's a lot of people who are perfectly comfortable and they're not willing. And the thing is, the revolutionary war in the US, I think only like 3% of the population was really involved in that. And that was enough to kick out the British. You know, it didn't take that
yeah.
much. And we were like, oh, we got a whole new system now.
Maybe the key to a successful government is building in like an expiration date for it. You know,
No, I think you're right. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
like we all just kind of agree. Like at this point, um, you know, like even if it's in like stages, kind of like a rocket, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you got like a 3 or 4 part rocket or whatever, and in order to get like the payload into space.
Mm-hmm.
You need the whole thing, of course, to begin with, but then you can shed pieces as you go, right? Like, so
Oh yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so like maybe you can like create a government with a finite timeline, and certain parts of the government, as your society matures and gets
Mm-hmm.
used to things in a certain way, can just slough off.
Okay, so you basically what you do is you analyze the circumstance and you look at like what you want to achieve, and then you build like segmented structures that are tasked with achieving that particular thing, and they just go away whenever that task is complete.
Yeah,
Essentially,
like
that
yeah,
makes
like
sense.
yeah, kind of build in planned obsolescence for the government. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
um, get things to a point where society is kind of running itself. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
there are when we talk about this stuff, there are a lot of things where you make a good point that communities can absolutely manage things and handle things
Like the day to
and then
day
there's
stuff.
things where that actually either wouldn't work or wouldn't nearly come anywhere close to the efficiency or whatever, like, but
Mm-hmm.
if you find these balancing points and your society is evolving through that and getting used to living without certain parts of the government, they might come up with things that we can't even fathom.
Well, and that's
You
where
know.
having things that can adjust, like
Hmm.
like bend like the willow, essentially, where we're like, oh well, that we didn't see that coming, or like, oh, that here's a good idea, let's try it. I mean, we've talked about the idea of petri dish society, where you have these experimental places where you can try out these different ideas, because everybody thinks they have it fucking figured out, and nobody knows what they're all wrong. Even I'm wrong. you know, like, and the only way to know is to try it.
Yeah.
Like we have never really tried a lot of things, and also we don't need a one size fits all solution. We need something that's adaptable, that accommodates a variety of cultures and areas. Like even within the US is like it's pretty diverse. The needs of, I don't know, Florida are very different than the needs of Alaska. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some comments here. You want to read them? I read the last ones.
uh yeah. So I still ardently disagree about voting. We need to make it stronger, protect it better. My point is, if the terrible people want us not to do it, that's probably what we should be doing harder. I understand the sentiment in that, but the problem is they trying to think of a cogent paradigm.
I'd rather
Uh,
have a good example.
like, okay, on a local level, there's nothing wrong with voting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When it comes to like the top tier stuff, like president and whatnot, um, there's actually a shit ton of evidence that Trump never won a single election, and yet what's being done about it? Like, who's holding that accountable? Who's doing anything about it? Who's caring about it? Who's believing it? Like there's so much. There's so many votes to count. There's so much like accountability that we just kind of put faith into.
Yeah.
Like that when somebody does cheat, uh, how do we prove it? Like
Yeah,
how do you as an individual actually know whether or not your vote is actually being counted? It
that's
might
a
say it's
really
being counted, but they could still fucking throw it in the trash.
that is very true. They could just completely fabricate everything and just
yeah, like
pretend that they're
yeah,
doing something. Well,
the,
and I would add, on top of that too, that like at the top level, the bureaucratic structure, regardless of who is president or who is in Congress or whatever, the system still basically operates the way it has operated for decades. Like it basically doesn't change.
Yeah.
And I and that's my problem. Like in the,
They
with
even set
voting.
it up so before you even get to vote for the president, you vote for who you want to run for president.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that's even fucked up. That's even fucked up. Like
Yeah.
we saw Bernie Sanders doing fucking crazy good. Biden was last place.
Yep. Oh, I remember that. Yep.
Last place for like 9 states. Then all of a sudden, Biden's front runner.
Well, what do you know? What a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I would much rather have a top level structure, if there is one, be more fundamental in its operation. Basically coordinating something, you know, basically, obviously we need national defense. That's important. Not offense, defense. Um, and we need to coordinate standards and things like that, settle disputes, that kind of thing. Like it's kind of there's really not that many things we need the top level government to do. Almost everything that human beings need to survive and thrive can be done at the community level, at the local level. Like there's very little that federal side of things would ever have to do with anything other than just keeping the peace, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what it ought to do. And like, because here's the thing, like the federal government, the people in DC don't know what me in Tacoma needs in my life, what my desires and wants and things like that are. They don't even know who I am, you know. But you know who would know who I am? My neighbors, you know, the gas station that I go to, and stuff like that, and the people that I interact with, the grocery store and stuff. Like if you're religious, your people in your church and stuff like that, those people will know. You live in a space that, you know, has certain, it's different than other places, and we are able to manage, I think, pretty effectively. I mean, I saw that traveling out to the property in Nevada. Like there are people living quite well in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, just chilling there. Like they're able to survive all right, you know, like, and then, you know, in those kind of areas, neighbors help neighbors. Like, oh, if somebody's barn catches on fire, everybody rallies to help, you know, or like, oh, there's a lost horse or something, you know, like that's all you really need. You
Mm.
know, we don't need a bunch of overlords telling us how to conduct ourselves. Like I can conduct myself fine on my own. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
More
I mean,
comments.
on the flip side of that, I mean, like, how much of your daily life is actually impacted by the government, honestly? Like,
Just tax for the most part. Tax and what I can and can't do. You know, I can't go down to the store and buy a bag of cocaine. You know, like
I mean, that's okay. Let's looking at things in the negative. It's like what, yeah, but you know, like the things you can do anything you can go buy
and
cocaine,
well, that's true. And I
and
generally
if you don't
operate.
get caught, they'll never stop you. You know,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah, well, and I'm a when in Rome kind of person. It's like I'll follow the rules to, you know, as far as I feel that I'm required to. Um, and I conduct myself as if there is no government, you know, like,
okay, this last comment here. Trump won this last election because of apathy. Large groups of people didn't vote. Now people are literally dying in the streets, and we get a whole shiny world war that affects us. Um,
I
okay,
was
so
actually going to bring that up, that yes, if the government decides to go to war with a country, that will affect us.
yeah, yeah, and of
Hmm.
course, like that's of course what he's doing. He's creating wars left and right. Um, but I would urge you to look up This Will Hold. There's like a email list you can get on or something, and they're doing a lot of digging into the election and there's all this stuff with the updates for all these Wi-Fi voting machines and stuff that came through Starlink and the whole Doge thing that was trying to like cover some tracks on this and like there's a surprising amount of like publicly available evidence that leads one to the logical um you know not deduction but induction, let's say,
Mhm.
that some nefarious shit happened.
I would
and
argue
and
nefarious shit has been happening for a
yeah,
century. You
but
know,
but also like like the I mean, hyperbole aside, we're talking about stuff that like is unprecedented in history. Like the uh people voting blue for Congress and stuff, and then zero votes for Kamala Harris and things like that. Clear uh meddling in the voting process, and it's like like yeah, you can vote and people are probably being paid to count your votes, but is the actual true count what is being served up to you on the platter?
that
No.
exactly. That's kind of my point. Is like it. Like if we can't trust it, what's the point of even doing it?
Right.
Right? Like whatever the system wants to happen is going to happen regardless.
Oh,
You
and now Victoria says if enough people vote, it's harder to cheat. How? You just cheat harder. Like
know?
you just
True.
move the comma or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so fucking easy to cheat, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard to get people out and vote, and it's even harder for all those people to have a real 100% solid faith that their vote is being counted
Well,
in
yeah,
good faith.
and like now we have all this electronic stuff. It's like a black box. Um, you have mail in. It's like, well, if I put that in the mail, is what even happens to that? How do I know? And yeah, you can go look at things, but like it's kind of still obfuscated. And I mean, it
Yeah.
used to be, it was like a mechanical thing. You'd push buttons and it was like a ticket. Um,
Even that, real human beings are counting those things, and those human beings can be manipulated.
absolutely, yeah, bribed
Yeah,
or
like
what?
it's never
Threatened.
been a perfect system. It never will be, of course.
Mhm.
Like uh, of course, voting is kind of the best thing we have, but voting in the US is severely compromised, and that's just
Mhm.
the way it is, like
Well, and here's a good example too of why it doesn't matter. You remember $30 tabs, right?
mhm.
Like I think three times in Washington State that those bills came up, like $30 tabs, $30 tabs, and like it was like very popularly voted on. They're like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, we want that, and then they were like, well, yeah, I know you want that, but we're gonna do this instead. So it's like, well, okay, I mean, and that's only one thing, right? That and largely inconsequential, but there's probably many, many other things similar to that where people vote on things and it passes, and then the government is like, well, yeah, we're just not gonna do that.
And that's a state level thing that theoretically, if anyone actually gave enough of a shit, they could probably push back on that and be like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? It's unconstitutional that you completely disregarded the will of the people
Mm-hmm.
and and kind of shit all over voting, you
Yeah.
know, because like yeah, that pissed me off too. Like I think I voted for that. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe that was before I bothered voting, but either way, I wanted it to happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's
And it
kind of
didn't.
fair if you think about it. It's like, oh, everybody pays the same fee for
Mhm.
driving a car. Like, that's how it is,
Yeah.
but no, we have this weird
If 30 is not enough,
scaled.
make it fucking 60 or whatever. I don't care, but
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
based on the value of your car. Like,
That is like the most, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Imagine if, like, you go into a store to buy, I don't know, like bananas, right? Since we talked about bananas earlier, you go in to buy bananas and they're like, they
Some
look at your
hard.
clothing. They look at your clothing and they determine how much net worth you probably have. Like
Yeah.
if you're wearing a t-shirt, they charge you, less, but if you're wearing a suit, they charge you more. Like, no, bananas, the price of bananas is fixed. Like, this is how much a bunch of bananas is. Like, you can't be like, oh, you look like you're worth more and charge more for that. And
Yeah.
that's what they do with tabs. It's like, oh, you spent more, you have a more expensive car, so you pay more. Like, I mean, I guess for certain situations that, like, okay, fines, yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's where it makes sense. Like, you want, if you, the fines are supposed to be there to dissuade people from doing something like speeding, okay? Like, so, but why is the fine for speeding fixed, but not
Right.
tabs, right? It should be the other way around. Like, everybody should be paying the same to drive on the same fucking roads, okay? It's a vehicle on the road. Okay, sure. If you're multi-axle, like, trucks and stuff, that kind of thing, yeah, charge more because they rip up the roads more. But how come my scooter costs more than my Scion XB for tabs? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense at all, man. Um,
It
but
would be like if you went to get your driver's license and they're like, "Oh, you took your driver's test in a Tesla, huh? Well, your license fee is going to be $854."
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
how fair
yeah,
would that be?
exactly.
What
Yeah,
if that was a rental?
I know. Or your parents' car or something like that, which it probably
Right.
would be. Yeah, it's not your fault. Like, use should be the same cost. But yeah, that is weird too. Like in the U.S., how fines don't operate on like some kind of scaled system where, because if the point is to dissuade somebody, right? If I'm like a billionaire and I get a speeding ticket, I don't care. I'm going to keep speeding because it's like pocket change to me. But to like somebody working a minimum wage job, that's a huge deal, you know? No, it should be a huge deal for everybody. If these are the rules that we have, like, and the point is to dissuade people. Yeah, if you're a billionaire, that fine is fucking $10 million for speeding. You
Yeah.
know, like, so you're like, oh, ouch, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this last comment to kind of revisit the voting thing. If you
Mhm.
voted to change the politicians who refused to do that thing, it would help. How? You're talking about you're requiring that a majority of the people that actually vote, number one, care about that. Number
Mhm.
two, remember when it's time to vote to actually care about that.
Mhm.
Or three, like they're all being fed like this propaganda that, like, this is the most important election and you absolutely can't vote for this guy or that guy. And like
Mhm.
it's all a fucking shit show. Like,
Well, and it's all a facade. The
mm,
politicians, they lie. They lie up and down. Like, they're not honest people that we're voting for. And to me, because it's like, consider, if you will, every politician. Just go back and look at campaign ads throughout history, any of them, and whatever they say that their beliefs are, how they feel about things, and what they plan to do, and basically 0% of that ends up being true. Like they're all liars. They're all cheaters. They're scammers. And like that's the thing, is the system that we have currently encourages that kind of person to run. Why do we not have any, like, I don't know, Fred Rogerses or Bob Rosses or something running for office? No, it's all a bunch of fucking chuckle fucks that are like just liars and scammers and stuff like that. And how can we expect to have a system that's beneficial to humanity, that does good for our people, our neighbors, and everybody, when that is like when those kinds of people are the people who end up coming out on top? I just oh income based and progressive, yeah, absolutely, for fines. Um, no one claimed we like our options. We were just begging to not be thrown under the bus of people who intended to kill us. Well, and that's kind of my issue with the entire thing, is like, we shouldn't live in a society where that is even possible. Like we should not we should not accept a societal structure where it's possible for bad actors to come in and do bad things. Um, and yet here we are, and people keep playing the game, and they're like, why are these things happening? You know, it's like, well, because you're playing like, somebody made this game, they rigged it against you. You're the patsy, you're the pawn, right? You're not the benefactor, you know.
Like a social credit score is a bad idea for society, but I think it's a great idea for politicians.
Hell yeah.
You know,
A1, I totally agree. Yes.
because like imagine if politicians, like as soon as they were sworn in, they had to put on this collar that had like spikes inside of it that when their approval rating dropped below a certain percent, the spikes is like,
well, and that's why I say, like,
they'd work hard to make you
well,
happy.
well, that's very in line with my idea for car design, where I think
Mhm.
instead of an airbag for the driver's steering wheel, it should be an explosive spike that just impales you. I can guarantee you, if every car was like that, people would be driving extra cautiously. They'd be very, very observant and cautious and gracious. Like, oh no, you first, you first. No, no, because
Yeah,
like,
I was watching a movie yesterday, Pets 2 or something.
mm,
And there's this one line where this big dog is like, you know, uh, I bit an electrical cord once. I only did it once. It shocked me. I learned my lesson. It's like
mm,
that is true.
yeah,
Like it's a little bit like rough, but like there's something to be said about like dumb mistakes and not wanting to repeat them
mm-hmm.
because of the consequences. Well, when you don't have consequences for things, that's where you start running into trouble.
You
Like,
are 100% correct there. That
yeah.
is the problem. Like, yeah, because you look at all these things that politicians and bureaucrats engage in, like all their activities, and failure after failure after failure, and like they still have their job, they still get reelected and stuff. Like, no, you know what I want to see? Here's a good idea. We need something like Running Man or something, where like if you fuck up, like if you say you're going to do a thing and you don't, like, okay, there obviously has to be a trial where you have to prove basically that you tried to do it, okay, that you
Hmm.
did your best within the contract. If you're like, I'm going to move the moon, right? Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's a tall order. And so if you failed at that, like, okay, well, I mean, but you did your best, then you're off the hook. Okay, fine. But if you actively did not do that thing, then yeah, you're in the pit. You like, and it should be televised. It should be like entertainment.
Yeah.
Because here, what would change there is it would completely alter the type of people who would run for office. Like you'd have go-getters running for office instead. Um, and the rewards for success ought to be very high, and the punishment for failure should be very high as well. Um,
Right.
because it is, you think about it, it's our society, it's our planet, it's, it's
But the other
human
thing that
beings.
that fixes with politics in general, which I believe is a kind of a hidden problem that may be the very biggest problem, and that is like threatening harm to have a politician do the things that you want to do. Like if they're gonna get hurt no matter what, like,
No, no,
like if they fuck up and the people are like, you know what, like you get hurt now.
no, it's what the things you run on that you claim. You basically have to outline, here's what I'm gonna try to do.
mm,
Okay. And that's what you run on, and people vote on you, on, for you, essentially. Now you're in that particular position, and now you have to deliver. And if you fail to deliver, there will be a variety of punishments. Excommunication being the one for just simple failure. Like, nah, you're done. You couldn't do it. You made stupid ass. You said you were gonna move the moon, dude. Who says that? Like,
where does the spiked collar come in?
oh yeah, yeah. Well, no, it's an explosive color. That's, yeah.
Oh,
So you get to see their head blow up. And it ought to be like, we need to be punishing these people more, I think, because we're voting for them, right? Like they they're at the helm, like they're the captains of the ship. Like if the ship fucking sinks, you can bet your ass I'm going to be punching that captain. Like, dude, you drove right into that goddamn iceberg, man. Like it's your fault. It's your fault I'm about to drown. You know, like we need, like I said, a paradigm shift. We need to change the way we look at things to where, like, we won't take it anymore. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Like, we need that,
Yeah.
For sure.
Here's a comment. I think having over a certain amount of money should be outright illegal. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, I think, because and it doesn't even have to be taxed, right? Like if you just said, here's an amount of money where like you just cannot have more than it. I don't care what you do with it. Just get rid of it. Like donate it, spend it, whatever. Either way, it's going into the economy somehow and actually trickling down, like actual trickle down economics, like
Yeah, yeah.
practical, useful. And like I think part of what would have to happen for that to really take place is that there needs to be a huge paradigm shift in the stock market, right? Like ownership
Well,
in
why
a
don't we get rid
company.
of corporations
Yeah,
as an entity? Why,
that,
like, it's a
that would be
government
nice. I would
construct.
prefer the stock market not be there at
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
but
If there were no
you know,
corporations, there'd barely be a stock market.
but
It'd be
like
like,
owning the lion's share of shares or shards of a company.
oh yeah, that's right.
um uh but like why not, like whoever is the owner just automatically has 51% share of the business. Everything else is for sale, but that 51% can be transferred to another person but never like broken up. And like, so like if you have a bunch of shares in a company and it takes off and all of a sudden like you're super rich in shares, you
Mm.
can donate shares too. Like this is already a thing.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
should be able to, you should donate shares to a fucking nonprofit or whatever, like,
Well,
or
and
cash
people,
it out and do whatever you want with it.
this is the
But like,
problem. This whole entire system is crafted by the elites to
yeah,
benefit the elites, and it's a governmental thing. We should be angry about it, and we should be trying to affect change in that regard. Um, like, because there's a lot of things when it comes to corporate structure and the stock market. There's all these legal things, like the government regulates that stuff, and they regulate it in favor of the elites, not in favor of the average person. So if we just got rid of it all, if
which
we're
in
like,
turn
we're
favors the
not,
government.
yeah, like, you want to run a business, you're on your own. All right, well, open the doors and see what happens. Like, you want money, I guess venture capital, that's how it goes. And then that's that. There
Yeah.
are no shares, there's nothing. Like, I mean, if you want to have shares, I suppose a business could do that, but it isn't all businesses.
Self-regulated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, yeah, because if you look at the businesses out there that are the most, like, that have the best customer satisfaction, the best employee satisfaction, that make kind of the most money, and do the most good, they're private businesses. They're not publicly traded ones.
Yeah.
And like, basically everybody wins. There's a couple of store change,
Or employee
HEB,
owned or something.
employee owned. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, those are everybody loves it. It's like, oh, everybody wins. Like, oh, I'm making money, they're making money, prices are good, the work environment's great. Like,
Future's
why would I
so
leave?
bright, I gotta wear shades.
See, that would be a good,
Harmonica solo.
yeah, that'd be a good outro. But it's this whole structure of the elites that, and I know, there was a comment up here, we can want all we wish, but we also have to live in reality. Yes, I know. But I mean, you can do your best to push for some kind of change, and maybe make the world, like, be the change you want to see in the world. I know it's cliche, um, but seriously, because that's what I do. I'm like, there's not a whole hell of a lot that I can do about all these things, but I'm going to operate within my life to the best of my ability, according to my principles, and I will never waver from those principles. I mean, my mom died years ago, and my dad remarried, and I hate the TSA with a passion. Um, I hate them. I will not fly. And my dad wanted to do this whole, like, Elvis in Vegas wedding sort of thing, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you want to come and attend the wedding and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, when is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's in a couple days." And I'm like, "It's gonna be a long drive." And he's like, "Oh, I'll get you plane tickets." And I'm like, "I don't fly." And he's like, "You don't fly?" And I'm like, "Nope. As long as the TSA it lives, I will never fly commercial. I'll do charter flights, but never commercial. Maybe steal a plane and go Sky King, but um, but like." And he's like, "Oh, can't you make an exception?" And I'm like, if I make an exception, my principles are null and void. Like, why do I even have principles at all at that point? So no, I have to make a stand. And I know I'm only one man, but that's what I do. And oh yeah, I feed my neighbors. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that I can donate, I like any little extra bit that I have, I donate. I donate time, I donate money. I just help people whenever I can. Like, always. It's because it's like, well, okay, if everybody did that, like, we probably wouldn't need much else, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, we like, why don't we encourage that? Why can't we develop a societal structure where that's just kind of the norm? Where, like, maybe you're shamed if you had the opportunity to help somebody and you chose not to, like, shame on you for that. Like, I because we have the means. I like, Casey and I, we talk about this all the time. Like we live in a post-scarcity society. Everybody, like, there are so many people out there, and I know there's tons of people who don't have enough, but there's tons of people who have way more than they need. And like, we
Mhm.
should be just kind of, we don't need a government to tell us to do this. We should be doing it for the good of humankind. For like, hey, why don't you, what do you want on your tombstone? I guess. you know?
Yeah, I mean that might work for you and I who have a conscience and stuff, but
Mhm.
for the people that don't have a conscience, that's why you need that's why you need consequence. That's why you need regulation. That's why you need all these things that make people do the right thing. But when the people who don't have a conscience are making the rules, that's how you get away with all this shit,
Yep,
like
that's a good point. Yep. Yeah, they'll take
that's
from us.
that's the problem. The problem isn't government. The problem is the people that are in the current government fucking it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the concept is fine. The concept is actually like pretty brilliant. Like it's about as good as you can. I can't think. I've racked my brain. I
Mm-hmm.
can't think of a better way of doing it, but it has to actually function above the belt, like
Yeah. I
the
think
the
one
the
thing that,
the people in power are cheating, and
yeah.
that's the problem.
Well,
Like
have you ever read uh oh Jesus, it's escaping
Kama
me.
Sutra.
No, 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 no. Oh my God. Um well, anyway, I'll just say, I was thinking about something else, so now I'm like, I got crosstalk in my brain. It'll come to me. I'll put it down to long-term memory retrieval. Oh, the Federalist Papers. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Not
Um,
sure.
you should, because it's basically like the founding fathers' conversations prior to crafting the Constitution and things like
Mm.
that. Um, and they fully expected that there would be just revolution from time to time. That's why there's the Second Amendment, really. Um, I mean, if you read some of the stuff, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, that's totally going to happen. It probably should happen. Like, yeah, every once in a while we need a hard reset,
Mm.
and then we'll just kind of delete all the old stuff, the stuff that was stacked on top of this, and we'll go back to the fundamental structure and
Well,
start
again,
again.
it's a fine sentiment,
Mm-hmm.
but again, the cheaters have fashioned it in such a way that I mean that would be a fucking suicide chess move.
Yeah, yeah, it
Like
would be. Yes, yeah.
that's why if you're gonna have your Federalist Papers chit chat around the fucking fireplace and be like, yeah, we'll probably need revolution eventually. Well, maybe stop to think the people in power probably won't want that revolution to happen. You're gonna have to build in a way to make sure it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an expiration date. You have to have the sloughing off uh of the government at some point. Like it has to be
Yeah,
built in. It has to be a guarantee.
and
There
that's an
has to
that's
be a fucking end date.
that's an engineering thing. It's like we have now experienced this particular structure, the results of it, and we can look at it and recognize the errors and the flaws and be like, okay, well, there's a couple things we could change. Um, but we still need to reset. Now it might be too late. I would argue it probably is too late.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that we're going to get out of it is global thermonuclear war, an alien invasion, or a giant flaming meteorite that'll bring everybody together. But I beyond that, I don't know. And that's why it's like they're kind of, I can't remember that saying. My mom used to have one that was like, Lord, help me um, accept the things that I can't change, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I just remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Um,
like grant me the something to grant me the patience to accept the things I can't change and the strength to change the things I can, or something, or
yeah,
vice
yeah.
versa.
And that's kind of where I've landed now, where it's like people are fucking dumb. people are just stupid. Like they can't recognize things. They're not willing to do anything. They're not willing to change anything. And I've just kind of washed my hands of that. I'm like, you know what? Y'all are beyond help. You're on your own. I mean, I'll still help people in need, obviously, but I don't feel like the system can really be corrected. The ship is rapidly hurtling towards the iceberg, and it's like, well, yeah, we're gonna sink. I guess that's it. Well, I guess I'll help the disabled people get off into the few lifeboats we have, and we're out of here. I mean, that's kind of the Nevada property is just that. It's like it's so far away from anything. Um, and yeah, it's like, well, this is the best we've got, I guess. The other
Yeah.
option is sailboat life, I guess. But I mean, no matter what, the eye of Sauron is always watching. That's the problem.
Well, and yeah, I mean, you're also busy trying to run away from evolution and entropy and all these other
Yep.
factors of nature that are trying to kill you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's downright depressing when you look at life in a realistic fashion.
It's true, yeah. But in a
Everything's trying to
way,
kill you. And
it's sort of one of those things that, like, in a way, it brings an inner peace. It's sort of like the end of the movie Rogue One, which, by the way, is the best Star Wars movie since the first trilogy. If you haven't seen it, watch it. In the end, they just kind of accepted their fate and just that's it. Like, well, okay, you know, I guess the best we can do is just hold each other while the planet explodes, you know, and like yeah, basically, it's kind of like, all right, well, I'll just work within the confines of what I can do, and I'm not going to get worked up about anything that I can't control. I don't have any control over these things. What I can do is we can discuss it, like because somewhere out there, somebody with means to actually affect change will land on this channel and see or like listen to this conversation on their commute or something, and then be like, they got a point. I'm going to do something about it because I'm a fucking billionaire and I'm pissed anyway. So, why not?
To that person or persons, definitely check out our backlog because
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you there is a fucking like detailed handbook on how to do things better.
Yes.
Like multiple different avenues of such.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are so many different ideas that we've come up with over the years that would definitely be better than the shit we're dealing with now.
Yes.
So if anybody with the means or the connections
Mm-hmm.
to make inroads happen, to spark something, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, by all means, like check it out. Fucking, I don't know, like make it viral, even though that's all fucking fake anyway. I think,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
like
at least
anything
now.
anything that goes viral was probably selected to do so by
Yep.
somebody.
It's a
Like
promotional. Yeah.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced that like the whole idea of a meme from a Richard Dawkins uh
Mm-hmm.
coining of the phrase is actually like not what we're seeing
No.
now. Like
No, I would say
it's
we
all
should.
inorganic. Like
I should archive the whole channel and like store it in like a Svalbard seed vault style thing for like when the world falls down and everything gets blown up. Somebody could find this and be like, oh, here's some cool ideas. These guys have like literally discussed every angle, you know,
mhm.
every angle. I mean that, yeah. that's the man. Maybe it does require like it. Like we need a forest fire, I guess, for it to
Yeah.
grow back healthy again. So maybe it's like, hey, nuclear war, bring it on.
Hmm.
Oh, and by the way, for anybody that is worried about that, like you shouldn't first off never worry about anything. Um, it isn't worth it. Just live your life, accept how things are. Like sometimes people, there's ups, there's downs, like there's winners, there's losers, and even in losing and failure, sometimes you're better off than the winners. So keep that in mind. Um, but like,
Loser.
yeah.
I
Remember
mean,
when?
that's true though. Like worrying changes nothing.
Mhm.
Um, unless your particular mode of worrying is a kind of like hunker down and problem solve mode,
Yes.
then your worrying is
Motivating
actually
factor.
doing nothing.
If yes, exactly. If you're doing nothing but worrying, it's not worth worrying. But if you're worrying and like doing something about it, like if it pushes you to action,
Yeah,
then that could be a force for good. Because at least you're making the attempt. It isn't about winning or losing. It's about well, it's like they say, it's all about the journey, right? It's not about getting there.
yeah.
Uh, and so yeah, I actually, yeah, just thinking about the trip to Nevada too, like the journey was quite an adventure. And then getting there, it was like, oh, okay, well, we're here. Okay, well, let's go back. I got a cat that needs attention, you know? Yeah. We
Well,
have some comments though, too, that we should probably address.
uh,
I know how to make food from near nothing. There's a that's a really good. Oh, okay, you're out. Okay. Have a good day, Victoria. Thank you for joining us. I love the comments.
see
Um,
you next week.
yep. So I know how to make food from nothing or near nothing. There's a YouTube channel. I think it's Atomic Shrimp. He does these like 2 pounds for 2 days, like basically taking like super hyper, but he lives in the UK, like super hyper budget meals where it's like I'm gonna make 3 meals a day for like you basically take like a couple of pounds and stretch it as thin as possible. And like actually some of the stuff is pretty good.
Hmm.
Um and yeah, like I think more people should be doing that. I'd love to see the idea of going back to like the victory garden kind of thing where people they grow their own food in their yard. Obviously, because of the HOA, basically, you can't do it. Cities and literal HOAs don't allow that, but we should be encouraging that. Like, yeah, you could grow. I mean, I had a huge garden in the backyard, and I had more food than I knew what to do with. And it was like, I think I spent $10 on seeds and a bag of manure or something like that I mixed in with it, not actual manure, but processed, composted or whatever. Um, and man, I tell you, there was so much food that came out of that. Like,
Mm.
if you were to go to the grocery store and buy that, there'd be like thousands of dollars. Crazy.
Wow.
Hmm. Um,
Well,
I think we're kind of at the end.
yeah.
Appreciate the comments as always. Um, and yeah, so if you're somebody in the future, in 2038, digging us out of the desolation of nuclear war, um, nice to meet you,
Yep.
our virtual selves.
This has been the Bell Riots. I mean, kitchen sink microscopy.
Oh man. All right. Well, as always, everybody take care of each other out there. Um, help out with homeless shelters. I don't know, donate to charity, do what you can. Help an old lady cross the road. Just do something. And we'll see you next time.
Don't take my word for it.
Dun, dun.